Use promo code CHICAGO.
Welcome back to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. We are powered by our good friends at Tandem HR, your solutions center. Check out their website, tandemhr.com, or give them a call, 630-928-0510. Our next guest recently wrote a op-ed discussing the chaos of reforming healthcare and regarding the Senate's attempted repeal of Obamacare. And he discussed the healthcare costs and what would happen if the individual insurance market collapsed. Andrew, welcome to Get Down to Business. Thanks for joining us this evening. Andrew, are you with us?
I'm with you.
Oh, fantastic. Sorry about that. A little technical difficulty over there. So you wrote an op-ed in Investors Business Daily. Before we get there, tell us a little bit about your background, firm's background, and why this is of such interest to you regarding the potential catastrophe that an unstable individual market would cause.
I apologize. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Sorry about that. Thank you for having me on the show. We work with employers, medium-sized businesses, to help them reduce the cost and volatility of offering health care to its employees, to their employees. And so anything that impacts them is of interest to us. And so when you talk about the individual market, think about health care as being a big balloon, and you squeeze one end, and it's just going to cause a reaction on the other end. So if the individual market collapses, it will impact employers and in a negative way.
Absolutely. So it's been a very interesting week. I know you wrote this op-ed, I believe it was on July 19th, and when we booked you on the program, I knew that this would be an important subject, but did not realize just how important it would be. And it seems like the news of this, literally President Trump's tweets over the weekend, it leaves a lot of head scratching of what is going to be and what is his next steps. Indeed, what are the Senate's next steps? If you can describe your reaction when I don't know if you stayed up to watch Senator McCain's incredibly, dramatic vote. I believe it was about 2:00 in the morning, Chicago time. And I'm curious your reaction to that, as well as, again, President Trump's tweets, basically threatening to withhold, as he called it, the bailouts. And what's next? What's your predictions, Andrew?
Yeah, I think making predictions on politics would make me look like a fool.
Yeah, I hear that.
I'll stray a little bit further from that and talk about where we go from here. I guess there's two routes that you can go. You can assume that healthcare reform is truly dead for now, and that means the administration really has two choices. They can help the individual market, or they can let it implode. And again, I'm not going to get into the politics of why they might do one or the other, but if it implodes, if they don't continue to pay the subsidies, if they don't advertise, if they don't enforce the individual market, the individual mandate, that is all going to hurt the individual market. And if people lose insurance in the individual market, employers who already provide over 50% or cover over 50% of the people in this country for health care, they will feel the pain. If I lose my subsidy and can no longer afford an individual plan, what I might do is go find a job. I might stay in a job. And so high-priced claims, individuals with ongoing expensive claims are going to seek out employment that might not otherwise. And so we're going to cost shift back to employers. And that's one of our concerns. So,
Andrew, it sounds like you're straddling between the two positions over here. Number one, some of the numbers that you quote in your op-ed regarding the challenges of the current Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, that very, very shortly, basically 2.4 million people have just one choice on the exchange. You're saying that's bad news. We've got a tough market. At the same time, you're also saying that what the president is proposing is bad news as well, because that will also hurt the insurance market. Am I understanding your view correctly?
I think that's right, or not. I think that's right. That is right in that the market today isn't ideal. The current environment for the individual market needs to be improved. But what we need to do right now is support it while Congress works on improvements to it. And so that is what we're saying, is that doing anything we can to support the individual market, even if that means further changes are coming down the line, is the right thing to do from the employer's perspective. Let's
talk practically. The last words in your op-ed are, barring that Republicans and Democrats have to do the unthinkable, work together to create legislation that solves the issue. And indeed, at times, that does seem unthinkable. But if there ever was a time to work together, this would be the time. Andrew, what specifics are you advocating for, as well as your firm, Pareto Captive Services? What are you advocating for to that Democrats and Republicans can possibly reform the Affordable Care Act to ensure a viable and a stable individual insurance marketplace that will be around to help all of those millions of people that are relying on a competitive marketplace, as well as a marketplace that does not break the bank?
Well, one of the things both Democrats and Republicans are going to have to do is the thing that hasn't gotten any attention. We talk about health care reform all the time, but it's really a misnomer. What we're talking about is health insurance reform. And what they need to do is move on to health care reform, actually bringing down the costs. If you go back to my balloon analogy, if we're able to take air out of the balloon, all of this gets easier. And so when the next round of what is hopefully bipartisan effort comes, they need to focus on getting air out of the balloon, because it just makes it easier, because the subsidies go further. And they can cover more people if it costs less to have health care.
Absolutely. Great proposals, and hopefully folks are listening to that. And as you said, it seems like the reform is dead. It seems that way, although making predictions, as you implied, is certainly a bad idea in this volatile political climate. You never know what's going to happen. But Andrew, you, if I'm not mistaken, you live in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. You've worked with Fortune 500 companies. What is the business community saying about what is going on, and what do you feel is the reaction from the business community to everything that's going on in Washington, D.C.?
I mean, again, you need to separate a little bit the views that people take from their political bent from what their view is from running a business. I think the employers in our country, particularly the small and mid-sized employers, are incredible at coming up with solutions. What they need is stability. You give them an environment, and they can adapt. They will excel within that. But we're just whipsawing them back and forth at this point, and they don't know what's coming. They don't know if there's going to be an employer mandate or not. They don't know if there's going to be an individual mandate or not. They don't know if they're going to end up footing the bill for this. So what they want more than anything is stability. And so I think that's what they would advocate for first. And again, after that, I think our employers in particular are doing all kinds of creative things to try to bring down the cost of health care. And I think ultimately health care reform, again, focusing on true health care, not health insurance, true health care reform is going to come from the employer. It's not going to come from Washington. And so our employers are doing some fascinating things, banding together to create shared primary clinics, so they can spend more money on primary care. If you think about primary care in our country, it has shifted over the last 40 years from being sort of the center of healthcare to really just a reactive 5 to 7 minute visit with your physician, and then you have a prescription or a trip to the hospital.
Andrew, I want to interrupt you because I believe what you're proposing are fantastic solutions. We like to talk about solutions here, but you're talking about some of the steps that big businesses are taking. What about small businesses? What can they do when they don't have the option to invest that kind of money into those creative ideas?
Well, I think that it's actually coming down to smaller employers. Our typical employer has between 50 and 200 employees, so that doesn't make them small, but they're certainly not a mega corporation, and they are beginning to do these things. And so I think there is sort of this bubbling of healthcare reform happening at smaller and smaller employer levels, and we hope to continue to bring that downstream.
Fantastic. Andrew, you posted a fantastic op-ed, Employers Need a Functioning Individual Insurance Market, and Investors Business Daily. We will post that link on our website, as well as the podcast from today's episode, which you can find online. Again, shalomklein.com. Follow me on Twitter, @ShalomKlein. But Andrew, if folks want to learn more about the advocacy that you're doing, and certainly the work that you and your firm are doing, how can they find you online?
The best way is via our website, which is www.paretocaptive.com. Pareto is Pareto, captive.com. And on there we have email and phone numbers for contact information.
Fantastic. ParetoCaptive.com. Check it out. Great op-ed. Andrew, we appreciate you joining us on the program. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, coming up after the break, we're going to continue our conversation about small business jobs and entrepreneurship. As I mentioned, you can get on my website, shalomklein.com. That's where you can download podcasts from this program. But we've got a lot more small business for you after this quick break.
On AM 560.